Hello, everyone. This is producer Peter. We've got a really nice episode today. We have repeating guest Tank back to talk about Francis Ford Coppola's Rumblefish, which is a really interesting movie that we have a fair amount of stuff to say about. But the bummer is that after doing the recording, I found that the audio file for Nick, myself, and Tank corrupted, and we lost that. So we are using our backup scratch track, which doesn't sound as good and has some issues, but I tried to clean it up as much as possible to make it decent, and I hope you still enjoy listening. And Sean's audio is great, so there's that. Anyway, enjoy.
Oh God. Oh my God.
So there's a guy who dresses like Batman and then just jet skis around Lake Washington or Lake Union.
I have not seen this.
I don't know.
It's fucking sick.
I don't know if it's Lake Washington. I think it is Washington. There's a guy with a hot dog motorboat.
Oh, I saw a video of Hot Dog Boat. I didn't know that was in Washington.
I was talking about that earlier today. I was like, if that ever happens, somebody should wake me up.
He was rolling around just blasting AC/DC's Thunderstruck.
Of course.
Like,
I like Batman being non-stealth at all. Just like, look,
It's really over the top.
I'm boxing. Yeah.
Wait, did you guys move to Portland or did I? Because this is weird.
I think it was funny. I was like, every time there is a slightly horny, slightly violent, surreal dreamscape movie, you're like, we should get taken.
We should probably
yeah.
Everybody it's like a French gangster who took some Ambien and woke up with a moderate hard on.
Yeah.
Like let's make a movie about that and bring in Tank and have him talk about it. So let's do it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I already have the French gangster.
Motorcycle boy.
We were talking about it today. I was hoping that like every time we talk to each other, we just start with Rusty James. Rusty James.
Rusty James.
Rusty James.
Every sentence starts and ends with Rusty James.
Oh
Rusty
my
James.
God.
I love that his name is just Russell James.
Yeah.
And they're like, nope, Rusty James.
Mhm.
Ooh, what a cool gang name.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, what would be your gang name?
Fang.
Bang.
Dang, I was thinking Fang too.
Yeah.
See, I think it makes more sense for me to be Fang, seeing as everything I wear is from Wild Fang. Mine actually makes sense.
Why is everybody going Fang?
Just seems like a tight ass.
Yours is just
Capitalism.
Yeah.
Fuck you, you corporate shill.
That would be Scratchers.
It's already tanking.
It's Tank it was Scratchers. Like Tank is my business.
That's my business.
That's what I take into the straight world. But like Scratchers is where I go at night.
So this is Cage Match, apparently. Colin a roundabout way of meeting Nicolas Cage. I'm your host, Sean, here with my co-host.
And I'm Nick.
And our producer.
Peter, hello. Hey, you kind of did it better this time.
Yeah, I haven't been practicing.
You've been practicing bullshit.
I forgot we were even doing a podcast anymore until you texted me the other day.
Yeah, we got to do all the back catalog. We're getting all the bangers, the movies that don't actually feature Nick Cage.
Somewhat feature Nick Cage.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when you're like what uncle or second cousin makes the movie and you have to show up because your name is because you're a Coppola.
Yeah.
We're in the and also Nick Cage genre era now.
The what?
And also Nick Cage.
Oh yeah. It's also the nepo version for these first couple movies. So
Yeah.
Sofia Coppola, I gotta just say, sucks so fucking bad.
Oh, Sofia Coppola is still terrible.
I cannot stand her at all. Like her directing work is fine as an actor, and I know she's a kid in this. She sucks. She's so bad.
I fully expected her to get retroactively better and then just suck later in her career. No, not true.
Started bad, ended bad.
Also returning this week, our friend Tank. Hi, Tank.
Hey, everybody. I'm here not to besmirch the career of Sofia Coppola.
Only the acting career.
Oh, I don't care at all. I really just don't care. Like, there's not a movie that she's in. I'm like, oh, that's the one I want to watch. This was, by the way, this is a great movie. We'll talk about that later. But you can put any kid in there. Kids are terrible.
Kids are terrible actors.
9 times out of 10.
Well, how would you feel if Finn Wolfhard was
The sister?
And what
the
age?
sister. At any age.
Oh, any age, yeah, sure. I would love that, but that's a really bold thing. It's a pretty expressionistic movie anyway. So
27-year-old
really like
hard.
gender flip a daughter character and like not acknowledge would have been outstanding.
That silly shaggy like fucking Joey Ramone hair he's got.
So this week we are discussing the 1983 film Rumblefish, which I'd never heard of before. And now I have seen and enjoyed.
Okay, good. There we go. We
Quite
got to the end of it.
I'm going to speak like this, so you never know when my sentence ends.
So you will never understand if I actually watched the movie or did research.
We will know when you're done
Before-
because you will end it with Rusty James.
Or Rusty
Rusty James.
Beautifully though, you're on a separate audio track, so Peter can speed you up 75%, and you'll just sound like I guess like me. Just fast and annoying.
Welcome to Cage Match later episodes where we exclusively discuss the mechanics of podcasting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the people are
So
for.
Are there people left?
is anybody
Yes.
is anybody
Weird.
familiar with S.E. Hinton?
No.
Is that an author that rings true to anybody?
No.
I mean, I'm familiar
I'm gonna
with the name and that he is an author.
I'll give a no, it's a she.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
I'm not familiar with it.
So S.E. Hinton is an Oklahoma author, born I think probably in the 1940s. Began writing really young, like in her teenage years. Wrote The Outsiders, Rumblefish, a handful of other books. So what's interesting is like Coppola did this and Outsiders and released them in the same year, 6 months apart. Outsiders is a very straightforward story. This one is, I think, much crazier. I think we'll get into it. So S.E. Hinton was like, I don't know, the James Patterson of Oklahoma. I don't know, or like, oh wait, actually, let me back up. It's more of like the Stephen King, and not. She didn't do horror, but she was heavily identified with the region and wrote stories about what it was like to be in like Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the 50s. So while I think this probably takes place in Missouri or whatever, I don't really know. It's ultimately like she was an Oklahoma author. The fun thing about The Outsiders was you could read that book in the 7th grade and you could write a book report on it every single year until your senior year of high school and still get like an A in like basic English. So she was sort of an outsized character growing up because she wrote like about what it was like to be in that world. And so I grew up in Oklahoma and that's what it was. But I will tell you, the movie we saw today looked nothing like any version of Oklahoma I'd ever seen in my entire life.
Because it's in black and white.
That's exactly true.
Yeah, and they have a color there now.
Everything Oklahoma was mostly like a sepia, yellowish tone until about 1985. And then we started adding reds and stuff like that.
Bold shift.
But yeah. But like Outsiders, if you watch that one, and like Outsiders just like won a bunch of Tonys like a year or so ago as an opera. Not opera, sorry, as a musical. It's super straightforward. It's a bunch of handsome men and handsome situations.
Pony Boy and Soda Pop.
Yeah, and it's like all of the most handsome dudes from the 1980s.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it was like
this one,
Swayze and
like
who else was
Cruise is in it,
Yeah,
and like it's like it's just everybody. It's like Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
It's Emilio Estevez. It's just everybody who was like remotely like this is a potentially fuckable human being in the future got in that movie. And this one, like they toned it back a little bit, but you still have like these really great people pop in.
Oh, it had a terrific cast.
Yeah.
So a real banger of a Hidden Gems cast.
My favorite was Tom Waits for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Benny.
Absolutely.
Benny.
What a great character.
Although I will say the designer in me hates the B being used for Benny's billiards, because the first time I read that I'm like, Benny's Illiards, what's that? Even when they showed it again later, that's how my mind read it.
That's actually Annie's Billiards.
Annie's Billiards.
No, because the B and the Benny is like one font.
Whatever.
The Benny is hanging out with Tom Waits.
Yeah.
It's why you're a good movie, Hank.
Tank, do you want to take a quick synopsis of the film? What's it about for our listeners?
All right. So you have Rusty James, who is the younger brother of what was the lead gang member of a pretty prominent group of young men who just fought nonstop in whatever city they're in. Rusty is like the heir apparent, but is a little dumber, a little less charismatic,
A lot dumber.
Yeah. And just does not have what it takes to carry on. But at the exact same time, his older brother, whose name I never really caught, to be honest with you, a really good Mickey Rourke, a really good motorcycle boy, a really good Mickey Rourke.
Fantastic.
Like you forget like what a wonderful actor, what presence that guy is on stage.
Yeah, he disappeared into that one.
Yeah.
It's so weird to see Mickey Rourke before he became a mannequin that came alive in a trash compactor.
Yes, right. Like we were talking about this on text. Like I think he went into bare knuckle boxing or he did boxing, just got the crap kicked out of him and did a whole bunch of plastic surgery and just like, I don't know. I think there's like a body dysmorphia thing. I'm no clinician, but I'll diagnose people on podcasts all day long. But anyway, so Motorcycle Boy is basically the king, and he has come back after a period of time in California, in which he basically has a religious experience where he realizes that the lives of the kind of rumble like culture that they had been a part of was basically hollow, and he was going in a dead end direction, and ultimately was going to wind up in a dead end direction, and at the end essentially sacrifices himself in some way in order to either evolve Rusty James or to end the culture or whatever. But it's just a very nihilistic movie, I think, in its heart. Like there's not a lot of like hope at the end of it.
No.
It tries to get there and never really reaches it. It's also like visually just very expressionistic. Like nothing about it. Like so I was watching it and at the very beginning I was thinking like, this is like a musical with no actual like musical sequences in it. Like every scene looks like it's going to lead up to like the Jets or whatever. They're going to start snapping and like dance fighting, but they just like fight or they just do a thing. And like, I don't know. I hated it for the first 20 minutes, but by the end I was like, this is killer.
It took me about 20 minutes to really kind of get into the groove of it. But once I realized this is just a stage play, like this is, if I saw this on stage, if you had a character named Rusty James, who was only referred to as Rusty James constantly on stage, perfectly fine with it. In a movie, I'm like, this is weird and uncomfortable.
Well, even there's like a fight scene where one of the guys gets knocked down in an alley, and like his leg does this huge like melodramatic kind of flop, and it's like, oh yeah, that would work on a stage definitely more than whatever the fuck that was. Also, how would you do the motorcycle hitting that fucking guy?
Oh man, that is so cool.
Put that on stage.
That felt like something out of a 1980s video game, like a Double Dragon game where you like shoot. Yeah,
the bicycle kick, motorcycle takedown.
He's the motorcycle boy. He shows up on his motorcycle, wrecks it to like kill a guy, and then like loses his whole like namesake. Then he's just boy.
And that's why he's kind of drifting through the rest of the movie.
Oh, they steal that Yamaha or whatever.
Yeah. He has one more motorcycle.
Yeah.
But I loved the framing of everything. I loved like the abundance of fog machines. Even the final shot of Rusty James on the California coast, where it's clearly just him on a soundstage with like a screen that is being back projected on. But the atmosphere of this whole film is just great. And like the weird angles, I visually just loved this film.
I think it's essentially an independent movie made by the person who made The Godfather.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just feels, because like, again, he did Outsiders right before, and Outsiders is like a very straightforward, like we're making a movie. And this felt like, so at the same time, you're getting like Jim Jarmusch is coming in. There's a lot of Down by Law kind of qualities there. There's a lot of this kind of like ultra indie, black and white, motivated camera. Like we're going to go really big and expressionistic with the way things are. Weird angles, the fish thing.
Yeah, in color fish.
There's that scene that's so good near the end where they're walking through the kind of, I don't know if it's like a fair or maybe it's just downtown at night. And they're talking about how Motorcycle Boy is colorblind and also kind of deaf. And the sound drowns out and comes back in and drowns out and comes back in. He's talking about like why he can't see stuff. And like, I don't know, that's a artsy ass move to put, and it's like 10 minutes long. It's like not a short sequence.
Right.
That whole sequence, it took me a minute to catch on to it, but there's like, whenever the focus is on Motorcycle Boy talking, it like deadens the sound. And whenever we get back to Rusty James, it's much louder and you hear a lot more ambient sound. I thought that was a really nice touch.
Yeah. It's really carefully designed. Like it's an art house movie made by a person who made Godfather 1, 2, and Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
who went on to have a very weird career right after.
He has had a very weird
a
career.
very weird career. I thoroughly respect.
Let's not ignore the megalopolis of it all.
Or the Jack of it all.
Yeah.
He made Jack.
Oh, I always forget about that.
Yeah, he made Jack. He made The
oof.
Rainmaker.
Yeah.
He made some choices.
You said Jack, and my brain immediately said, "Oh, Simple Jack."
Oh, yeah.
What a terrific film! And it's like, oh, that's a film within a film.
No, Jack is the one, the Robin Williams, who is has that disease where he's a boy who ages too fast. And by the way, I knew,
reverse Benjamin Buttons or something.
but I knew a guy who actually had the disease, and it's so much more tragic.
Oh wow!
It's not like I'm 12 and I look like Robin Williams. It's like I'm 19 and like I have osteoporosis.
Oh,
Oh, that's not.
yeah.
So like he wasn't able to buy you porn.
Yeah, exactly. My 11-year-old friend and can go get his beer. It's like, no, my 19-year-old friend needs a walker.
Sad.
So there's a story I want to tell here.
But we don't do that here.
I'm gonna jump right in.
Wait, side.
So no, it's about the movie. So they're at the end and they're like looking at the fish, right? Those are like beta fish, rumble fish, whatever you want to call them. Like you've heard them call it a lot of different things. So when I was 22-ish, I got a rental house with two other guys. We were in college. There was 3 bedrooms, so killer rental house, but one bedroom had an ensuite bathroom. And so that was like the desired bathroom. And we're like, well, how are we going to decide who gets the bathroom? And so coin toss, drinking contest,
Tried it
whatever.
all, never won.
We were like, what if we went to Walmart and we all got 3 beta fish and we put them in one container, right? One aquarium, and we let them fight to the death, and the last one alive got the room. So we did that. This is animal abuse. This is terrible. Right?
Yeah.
Again, I was a younger man. I didn't, whatever. So we did that, and we put them all in one fish bowl. And over the course of the next 70 hours, they fought. Now, they don't fight like they go and they fight each other and then one dies. They slowly eat the fins of each other until they can't swim anymore, and then go upside down and they float to the top and they die. And it was the saddest way I've ever won a bedroom in my entire life. And like at the end, we were just like, can we just stop?
Yeah.
Can we just stop?
They're already dead.
They're already dead.
Was it your responsibility to flush them down your unsweet
Absolutely. Yeah,
toilet?
it was. Actually, I did take care of all of it. And I feel terrible about this. I'm atoning out loud in this podcast. When I watched that scene, I was like, okay, I can finally clean my conscience.
So good. It's a chance for you to heal.
Yeah, it was.
Thanks for coming on Cage Match.
Cage Match, a chance for you to heal about animal abuse that you inflicted in your
A therapeutic podcast about Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not
70 hours. Yeah, it's like,
it was
like 20
lot.
minutes.
We would go to work because we all worked like night shifts and stuff. We'd go to work and come back and they'd still be like alive, but like barely. Lord. Horrible.
Yeah, that's rough.
Anyway, not as romantic as it makes it out to be.
But those fish at the end get set free and they all swim their own way.
Sure, they seemed happy.
Everything in an aquarium should go in a river.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Chuck it all in a river.
All goes in a river. That's fresh water. I'm sure
Totally not invasive species.
I'm assuming that's the Missouri River. I'm sure that thing is perfectly great for
Definitely primed for it.
Yeah, and it's got the right pH balance and
right.
everything.
Exactly. They're gonna do great.
So other cast of characters, Diane Lane plays his girlfriend.
Yeah. Nicolas Cage plays Smokey.
Yeah.
Can we address the Nicolas Cage of it all?
Yeah. I liked his jacket, his Deuce's Wild jacket.
That was actually August Coppola's jacket from when they were kids.
Interesting.
And Francis, because Francis was really big into the brother story of this all, and it really connected. I went back and reread the Age of Cage portion of this, but yeah, so he was like, oh, we'll get him to wear his dad's old, gang jacket.
I guess Cage was not famous enough for the Rusty part at this point.
Which, it's kind of too bad looking at it, because I feel like he would have done a good job. I mean, this early in his career, so it would have been a stretch. But, Matt Dillon did fine. But
he's fine. He was fine.
He's Rusty James. We got it.
I think a lot of the acting performances could be just qualified as fine.
Yeah.
Nobody was exemplary.
I think
Dennis Hopper. Hopper was great.
Hopper was
was
good,
great.
but like the movie is like, oh, their contentious relationship with their father, and it's like, no, he seems like just a drinking buddy to them.
Yeah.
Like there seems to be no struggle between the father's drinking, except for, obviously like Motorcycle Boy comes in and he's like playfully getting rid of the alcohol in the house, sort of thing.
I mean, I think the contention is their dad's just an absentee drunk.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it never feels contentious. There's no nobody seems to have a real problem, a developmental problem with it.
Or something because they're drunk. But
The problem is they're all trapped.
yeah.
That's the thing. Like he's like, it's not that he's mean or cruel or like violent. He's just like trapped. Like he's a person who has to be taken care of. They have to be there for him. Like he's just a ever present, like chaotic part of their life. And he's not terrible, but I don't know. Every time, I don't think any movie was ever made worse with Dennis Hopper. I think like he's one of the few actors like, you made that a little better every single time. Yeah,
upset about him being in there. I enjoyed his performance. It just never felt like
you wanted a little more antagonism between.
Yeah, it just
family.
Well, everybody seems so resigned to their place in life except for Motorcycle Boy. It's like, oh yeah, I am the dumb gang leader. Well, Smokey outsmarts Rusty James and takes the gang, but he seems to be he seems to be the only one with any kind of ambition.
Yeah.
So.
Like that was kind of the thing at the end, though. There really was no gang. Like at the beginning, Rusty James is trying to make this whole big stink about like rumbling and shit, and we're led to believe that Smokey's kind of a coward, and in the end, he's just apathetic because he's like, "You're dumb." It's like
the gang was Dork and Beef Boy and Lawrence Fishburne. Larry Fishburne.
But like they're ultimately just playing at being gangsters, and Smokey's really the only one who sees that.
Yeah, I know, for real.
But I do think a lot of it is about that. Like it's not that it's like this really violent, terrible place. It's not great, but it's just like there's nowhere to go. It's like a dead end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Hopper was a dead end, and that's what they were. So when they were talking about the mom got out. Right. Yeah. That was the whole thing. She was not a dead end. Everybody's like, oh, she was crazy. She left. She's like, no, actually, she was probably the sanest person in the entire group. But like everybody there was just like resigned to the space they were in. It's getting a little heavy. I'll back out real fast and praise it Diane Lane. Wow. This is one of the, every time, again, you bring me in for the horn stuff. So I'm going to put my horns on for a second. So it was Laura Dern in Wild at Heart, who just was smoking, and Diane Lane comes in hot this whole fucking thing.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
So good. And like the fantasy sequence where she's like up on the thing, and she's like taking her clothes off, and like he's like in the wood shop or whatever, like, or like the machine shop. Like what a
who amongst us?
What a great move. Just A+.
It's so hard thinking about just high school back then, where like here's just a big old machine shop where when I went to high school, it was like we can afford a book for 5 of you.
Lucky. This movie, there were 2 parts that gave me like a little crisis. There was one line where someone's like, God, he's so old. He looks like 25.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, okay, that's kids talking, whatever. And then Hopper is like, I'm 40. I've only got 35 summers left in me. And I was like, Jesus fuck. Is that all I have left?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that hit too. I'm like, holy
35
shit.
summers doesn't sound like that many summers.
It's always fun. You never know when like the midlife crisis is going to smash into you.
It's now. It's happening now.
Well, so I was talking about somebody the other day where like talking about Cheers and like how George Wendt was 34 when Cheers started. I was like, I feel a lot better. I look in the mirror these days. I'm 43. I'm like, all right. I look significantly better than Dennis Hopper did at 40.
Right.
A different life. We're on different timelines.
Well, it's like Nick has pointed this out a few times. You used to be able to smoke inside everywhere.
And it was cool.
Super tight.
Yeah.
Motorcycle Boy and Rusty James smoked quite a bit. Nick Cage, like when they came out of the bar, Motorcycle Boy lights up a cigarette, then immediately throws it away.
Yeah.
That's a classic move.
And then Motorcycle Boy had that like fucked up, busted cigarette that he was somehow miraculously able to smoke, even though it was cracked, which doesn't work.
All I could think about though was just how cheap were cigarettes back then.
They were probably $1. It'd have to be $1, I think, $1 a pack.
$18 a pack. Like last time I checked.
But when I quit smoking in 2007. They were $3 a pack in Oklahoma. I think they were probably like 6 out here at that time. Yeah, that was the end of it. But probably $1. I remember my grandfather quit smoking when they got to 75 cents a pack, and that was like 1980 something.
Yeah, it was like $8 a pack up here when I quit.
Yeah,
and there was like quite a bit of smoking in Benny's Billiards, where people were having milkshakes and cokes and just smoking away.
Yeah, chocolate milk.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna crush a beer, but then give me a glass of chocolate milk, Benny. Like,
oh man, can you imagine the phlegm if you have like 2 to 3 cigarettes and then like a glass of chocolate milk? That is coating the throat.
Repulsive.
Yeah. I will say, and I think a bunch of us have talked about this for a while. If I could have any wish from like a really wiener ass genie or something like that, like it could make me like ultimately powerful. It would just be like I would love to smoke with no repercussions. It doesn't smell bad. It doesn't it doesn't hurt my health. You're right. Nobody gets annoyed by it. I just get to look so cool. Like I have never looked cool. We talked about this on the way back from your birthday.
Yeah.
Like I've never looked cooler in my life than when I was smoking.
So no negatives, only positives.
I don't think that I would have ever had sex with a human being had I not been a smoker. I'm not sure. Maybe I probably would have found my way there eventually. Yeah. But like it really set the pace for me in my 20s.
I definitely had 100% of the sex that I had in my life as a smoker.
Yeah.
Well, not like every instance of it, but
right. But it was definitely a part of the narrative, right?
Well, every partner I've ever slept with was while I was a smoker.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. Like that's
at some point.
That's part of the thing. Is like if I ever get back to like dating or whatever, I'd be like, fuck, I gotta smoke again.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I don't smoke and no new pokes.
No. Again, you bring me in for the horn stuff.
That's good. That's why you're here.
One of the things that like continually stood out to me through the whole movie was just like, how did this get made? Absolutely. Right? Like how like it like think about it in context of because this is a cage match, but like Nicolas Cage is not a big part of this. No. It would have been killer had it been Mickey Rourke, Dennis Hopper, and Nicolas Cage like in the bedroom doing those sequences together. That would have been a really fun watch. I think it could have got wild, but like we didn't get there. So it's just like contextually, this movie, you have one of the biggest directors in the world, right? He's picking up this IP from S.E. Hinton. He makes Outsiders, which comes out 6 months before, and like that's a kind of a hit.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It launches careers. It kind of sets the tone for all the big heartthrobs of the 80s. Like it launches that whole thing. He's like, all right, so now I'm going to do it again. But like, no, I'm not going to fucking do it again. I'm going to make this weird ass experimental kind of jazzy art film that looks beautiful. It's some of the best black and white photography I think I've ever seen in my entire life. I think the only other movie I've seen that looks as good, The Man Who Wasn't There by the Coen brothers.
Oh yeah.
It's like just exquisite black and white. And like, this is maybe the best black and white I think I've ever seen.
Well, so this movie was shot like back to back with The Outsiders. Yeah. Like they kept the exact same production crew and everything. So I think that really helped in the just getting it made was they were writing the screenplay while filming The Outsiders. And
was it the same director of photography between the two?
I'd have to double check, but I know that Coppola wanted to keep like his production crew from Outsiders into this.
Probably would have been.
I mean, you would think.
That's
and then it's like, hey, maybe
that's a person. That's a person.
Crazy.
That's a person at the top of their powers, right? They can like go to any studio, be like, "You're going to give me this much money. I'm going to make this movie and this movie simultaneously." And like studio producers, you can't show up. You can't check in on what we're doing. And like maybe they showed up one day on Outsiders, like, "Oh, these are handsome boys," and like we're gonna make a ton of money. And they walked off, and they didn't even check in on Rumblefish. And Rumblefish comes out, and you're like, "Huh,
yeah." This is a thing, huh?
Yeah, you tilted the camera a lot on this one, didn't you, buddy?
Yeah, so it was Stephen Henry Burham was his name.
I think it looks great.
Oh, he also did Snake Eyes.
Oh, wow.
So
reuniting
and Mission Impossible.
So I forgot about this in the beginning of the film when they like the first few like setup scenes, they show like the city and they kind of like have it on a time lapse. But it gave me like those old like the videos they'd show us when we were kids in schools, like you know, the mechanism of the economy.
See, we were able to afford updated videos. We weren't all sharing the same book and
public domain years from 1945.
No, I was in Tillamook, Oregon, and they had a legit reel-to-reel projector they'd bring in with these old ass tapes.
Sick. The only time we ever had to watch one of those was like the first sex ed course I ever went through.
And so much hair.
Industrial, like,
yeah,
evolution, like. Yeah. The city of the future will include electricity. Like, I thought it was.
And then there's just a
nothing.
Hard on through the screen. It's like
erections for all.
It's just a skyscraper being built.
Racing into the sky.
Yeah, trains going into it, tunnels, rocket ship. Like, oh, wait, this is an innuendo video. Yeah. It's not sex ed. It's just metaphors.
I have a real hard time adjusting to.
Although, you know, Sean, I'm sold every time we do like a time lapse at night of a city. If it's a pretty time lapse at night, like I'm just like, let's just do it. Like let's watch a city go to bed and wake up like over a time lapse. I'm in every freaking time.
What was the big billboard in that scene, that nighttime scene?
Was it just Mayo?
Mayo, I think.
Just
Actually, it was probably like Mayo Clinic or something, but like the idea of just a giant sign for
New York.
Oh yeah, just a giant sign for
mayonnaise.
Yeah. Well, you said there was like Burke's magazine or something.
Yeah, the magazine. Yeah. Said something called
Hamburger magazine.
Hamburger magazine.
Oh man,
makes sense to me.
I would subscribe.
So,
are we going to start a hamburger magazine? Let's do it.
Probably. It'd come out of left field. Nobody would expect it from me.
So I think it needs to be large format twice a year, like a really big, thick one, like really put time into it, like where you can
like the swimsuit edition.
It's a big format twice a year.
Do one seasonal hot dog.
Real thick paper.
Oh yeah.
Well, there can be a hot dog centerfold, so that you unfold the giant hot dog.
Texture.
Yeah.
You can run your hands over.
Ooh. Yeah. One scratch and sniff page. Yeah.
We're on the same page. All right.
Yes, absolutely. This is gonna happen. Cool.
Start sourcing right now.
Cage Match, a roundabout way of starting a magazine
about hamburgers.
So I do want to come back to like Matt Dillon's performance real quick, because I think he's great in this, just as the fucking poser kid. Just what's up with the leather cuff? Like, what's up with like the one like leather like fighting cuff?
Just trying to look cool, man.
It's just cool shit.
Trying to look cool.
Yeah. I just like it's such a vibe, and I definitely knew this guy in high school. Like I definitely knew that guy who just wanted to be cool and was just projecting that image and story of himself out there. And it was just easier to go along with it than to just be like, nah, dude.
So the Yahoo who comes into our podcast wearing their best fighting blouse has decided to critique the fashion of 1980s small town gang members.
I mean, 80s, man. This was written in the 60s.
Yeah.
Like this, I guess the movie moves it forward a little bit, but like, oh man, Bandana Sean is not happy with Cuffy Dillon.
For our listeners, just so everyone knows, this thing is like buttoned to just above the navel, just pure midsection. Yeah. Like there's full sternum bush on display.
Sure, I can see your xiphoid process. That's exactly true. You might know that.
No.
Not a fucking clue.
Oh, good.
It is a small bone that hangs down at the center where your rib cage meets. It meets right here and it holds it together.
Is that the one you take off when you want to suck your dick?
I mean, there's a lot.
Not gonna hurt.
No, not gonna hurt. Actually, it will separate your rib cage. It's
right.
It's pretty critical linchpin in the whole like chest area. But anyway,
I got zip ties.
The xiphoid process.
That's a weird name for a bone.
I love it.
That joke got me, but it did.
Neat.
Oh man, I kind of wonder like what happened to Matt Dillon. You know what I mean? I think it's the voice. Honestly, the whole time
he's so dumb. And I know he's like that dumb character.
There's no way of taking the Matt Dillon voice and being like, well, you know, he is a respectable authority figure that you should like follow into the future.
Not a fucking chance.
Like you think about like so. Okay, you take the Outsiders group is really that group. So he was in the Outsiders as well. So you have like Cruz and you have Rob Lowe and you have Swayze, and there's a handful of other folks in there. Like, but like he was also in there, but like he could never really break out. And I think it's the voice. I think you're entirely right. I was trying to pinpoint what it is, and it's a meathead voice.
He's got like the real mouth breather look about him too.
Yeah.
Like, that's hard to get away from.
A little simian.
Yeah.
Kind of lumpy.
Good looking guy. Not good. Yeah. But monkey.
But, yeah, like a good-looking monkey.
That is a very handsome monkey.
Yeah.
So like on that line too, like Mickey Rourke was a pretty good-looking dude. I mean, he's kind of strange looking. I was thinking about it. It's like if Sam Rockwell and Steven Dorff fucked, but you know.
Let's take 3 seconds to think about that. Okay,
It's working for me.
it's lovely. Put your arms on. Take them off. Put them on. Take them off, boys.
But yeah, it's kind of a shame. I mean, he really did get fucked up. Like he was not a beautiful man, but like.
I think the funny thing is in the movie you see him in the photo, the motorcycle one. He has the long hair and he looks handsome man. His haircut is so stupid.
It's very dumb.
Whatever they do in this, it's so stupid.
It's a real dork job.
It looks like the haircut that every girl who's eventually going to be a lesbian gets in the 8th grade. And they're like, this is who I am now, I guess.
Yeah. It looked to me like he was going for some kind of a proto version of the Misfits Devil's Look, because they like just cut in a widow's peak on him.
Yeah,
it's like
forced widow's peak.
Yeah, this is my bangs now. This is how it's done. That's cool.
He has such a gentle voice for the whole thing. So you get meathead Matt Dillon. He's whatever. I can't do it. I'm not even gonna try. But like, but Rourke goes on. Yeah, it's just like, Rusty. Like, these are, they belong in the river. Whatever. And then it's just such a contrast to everybody else who's just coming off like really blunt and kind of ridiculous. It's a good character. I thought it was that scene in the billiard hall when they're just like, no man, he's the king. You're never gonna get there. Like you're just not gonna happen. Like that was I don't know. There's just a bunch of really great scenes that you could cut out and be like, those are very powerful moments. And I think a lot of people in their life have lived through, which is like they realize something about themselves that they're not going to be. And like the whole movie is just Matt Dillon realizing like he's not who he thinks he is.
Right.
Yeah. No, but that scene where it's like, you're not the king. Like, because that's Nick Cage. They're outside Benny's. And it's like, you're not the king. It's like, I would be the king and you'd be like a second lieutenant. Like that's the line or something. But like at the end of that like confrontation when like Rusty James realizes that, he's not who he thinks he is. He's kind of a joke. He goes to, hand off the baton, like hand the pool cue to Nick Cage. And like, it's like, all right, it's you. And Nick Cage just like, what the fuck, dude? Just cut it out. Like, like we stop doing this now.
Right. I have Diane Lane. The gang does not exist. You are a silly man. Please stop doing performance.
I want a movie about that other gang. The one they actually go and
like Effective Gang, the guy who got motorcycled.
The guy got up until he got motorcycled. Also, like Rusty James, he gets his stomach cut open with a big old piece of glass, and then gets fucking piped to the head later. Like this movie gets super serious, then gets super like just jokey real quick.
Yeah, I just think it's a dreamscape. The whole thing, it's just like a weird, fevery, surreal dream, which is a cop out. I could have like leaned in and said yes, or whatever. But like the whole thing is just like it is ridiculous. Like, it's just like young men being idiots and like over imagining their lives nonstop, and you're stuck with this guy who thinks he's going to be the most important human being ever. He's like, hey, kind of a Dillon. You're kind of a dish.
You're kind of a Matt Dillon.
Kind of a Matt Dillon. That's what he's a Matt Dillon. Yeah. But yeah, the fight scene. Actually, I really like the fight scene. It reminded me a lot of Clockwork Orange, the big like gang scene there, and I think maybe a little bit was a play on that, which is like the gangs are so serious in that. And it might be the same thing. So in like Clockwork Orange, the gangs are aging out and they're just becoming older men. And that's what it is. Like there'll be younger people who like take over gangs or become gangs. And it's the same thing. Like you're too old for this shit, man.
Right.
Like it's not fun anymore.
Unlike Warriors, where being a gang is still incredible. Yeah.
Right.
You could dress up like a baseball boy or a clown or
whatever you want, man.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about the other gang. They kind of had a theme going.
Yeah.
They were a real gang. That's the difference.
Was that theme murder?
Kinda.
Virgins
they kind of had like they had a vibe.
Yeah. I still do think it felt like a double dragon fight.
Oh yeah.
You show up, everybody kind of kicking, a knife flies off, you pick up the knife, you can throw it twice before it disappears. Some guy shows up with a motorcycle.
before the fight actually gets going, when they're just kind of like swinging at each other, Rusty James does do the kind of like the hopping double kick a couple times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very video game. Like later on when Rusty gets hit in the head with a pipe, and then Bicycle Boy, sorry, motorcycle.
Well, he didn't have the motorcycle at the
motorcyclist boy shows up and like fights. Like it's the worst choreography. It does bring us to
the out-of-body experience.
Yeah,
I like that scene a lot. Actually,
Yeah.
That was a cool effect.
Yeah, so I was watching it in a chair with my headphones on, and like the family was like over here doing stuff, right, doing their own thing, and like that showed up, and I was like hands up in the air, like what the fuck is this nonsense? It's like I was not expecting it. Like delighted. I was kind of delighted nonstop by all the decisions that were being made, because like after the first 20 minutes, it just was not boring. Like there was not a boring scene. Everything was kind of visually interesting. They were making crazy decisions. Like, did it add up to the best movie and everything? Absolutely not. So, but if I was going to steal from a movie as a film director, I would steal out of this movie like fucking crazy.
Yeah.
There's so many things you could just rob from this movie and put it into a better movie, and it would be awesome.
I think that's the most agreeable sentence I've heard from this. I was not a huge fan of this.
Yeah.
I'll get that out of the way. It was the longest hour and a half that I think I've ever spent on this podcast.
Sure. That's saying a lot too. Oh my God.
Longer than Croods 2?
Yeah, dude. This movie just like it felt like a full 2-hour film when I was watching it. Maybe it's the theatricality, being the theater major who doesn't like theater. It doesn't catch me. It's just there were some moments where I was like, yeah, that's great. I forgot what got me started on this.
I think it's a menu of really interesting vignettes and scenes and ideas. You know what I mean? And like it feels like Coppola was like really just scrubbing and trying to make like an indie movie, trying things, really like fucking around and like feeling his way through it. It felt like that. So like, you know, they're just shots that look really great. Again, them walking through the downtown and like the audio shifts based on the character who's talking is a really brilliant idea. And then like the out of body thing where he just like is floating through could have been terrible. But again, you're right. When you put a lot of forced artsy shit together,
you're dragging me through a lot to try to sell this film to me. It's like
the whole time I was thinking, oh, sorry, go for it, John.
Oh, well, and that's kind of where I wanted to like finally bring this to is, so it's called Rumblefish, and the big metaphor for their situation at the end are these fighting fish are the rumblefish that Mickey Rourke's obsessed with, wants to steal and like set free. And we get that like really on the nose scene, but I feel like it worked really well. After Motorcycle Boy's dead, Rusty James is like thrown the fish in the water. And when he's thrown up against the cop car, and for the first time he's in color, like he sees his own reflection as those trapped fish. And that's when he decides to leave.
I love that kind of crap. I don't know. I don't know why. It was earned. They really held it for a long time. Yeah.
I thought it was earned. Like I said, it's a little on the nose, but I loved it.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of stuff like that, but I agree. Like there's just these moments like, it felt good, and it wasn't too much. Like it's like the whole movie didn't flip to color. It was just like a flash, and then you come back. Yeah.
Well, and then there's that like extended. And I love how it ended with that extended long shot of the entire cast learning about Motorcycle Boy's death. And it's cut, and it's like everyone has their kind of like little like moment of like you see everyone's like immediate reaction to the death, and then it just cuts to Motorcycle Boy Reigns and the silhouette of Matt Dillon like riding off to California. I'm like,
which is super theatrical. It's like what Nick keeps talking about. It is a very stage play. So there's a guy named James or Jamie Lloyd. I forget how you actually say his name, but he's like the hot shit on like the West End and Broadway, and everything he does has like projection screens and sexy people, tight underwear, and it's like all that kind of stuff. Like this felt like a Jamie Lloyd production of a movie, right? Had he been around in like 1983, I feel like he would have made this movie.
I'm going to make a controversial statement here. I think my favorite character was the cop, because when he killed Motorcycle Boy, it meant the movie was over.
Sure.
Otherwise, the cop
He-
sucked.
Yeah,
Right.
the cops are pretty bad.
If
But
you ask Nick what the narrative was, it was about a hard-nosed cop in Missouri who's dealing with a bunch of
really
fucking pretentious assholes
protecting a pet store.
who does
Yeah.
nothing but steal from pet stores and saves the day.
Cause fights.
Saves the
Oh
day
my
again.
God.
Just keeps showing up.
Sick ass mustache.
I will say the fucking bullet wound was like pretty gnarly.
Yeah. Yeah. I do like the cop a lot. So
I like how he like just stood there.
Yeah.
He was like a monolith
Oh,
of
yeah.
like antagonism.
he was Angel of Death.
Yeah.
Like he was just waiting. Like the whole
Yeah.
time he was like, because think about it, why are you
Never
here?
see his eyes.
Why do you keep showing up? He's like, well, because
It's like Shadow.
Motorcycle
Acting.
Boy is a dead man. Like
Yeah.
he's out. Like he came back from California. He's destroyed. He doesn't want to be a part of this. He doesn't know where to go. So he's gonna go.
He's like Chekhov's gun.
There was a
Eventually, he's gonna go up.
Chekhov's cop. Yeah.
Yeah, Chekhov's cop.
We have a lot of Chekhov's cops in the country these days.
That is true. They're always going to go.
Sure.
Fuck cops.
They show up in the screen early on in the newsreel, and well, that's going to turn into a problem, and it usually does. Not to get too political, but there we are.
Well, like, I mean, the cop even has his own, other than just, being, the harbinger of doom, also, when Rusty James, like, asks him in the middle of the films, like, what's your problem with Motorcycle Boy? And the cop's response is like, I see the one thing you don't, which is, everyone looks up to this thing and up to Motorcycle Boy and like romanticizes that. And he's like, that's just trouble. That's just going to lead to more dead kids. And, in the end, kills Motorcycle Boy. And the other cops want to take in Rusty James. And he's the one who's like, no, let him go. Like, this is over now.
Yeah, there is heavily an element of like, this is the end of an era.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Like, the whole thing starts as like, we're at the very tail end of something and people need to like transition and move on kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
It's the decay of like this previous culture that maybe wasn't so great to begin with, but like the romanticism is wearing off. And I think, like we were talking about earlier, like Cage's whole thing about like, why are you handing us pool cues? This is stupid. Like, we're out of this. You know what I mean? Like, just move on. You're being a child.
Yeah.
All right. Final thoughts?
I liked it. I said that at the beginning. I'm saying it again.
It grew on me a lot, for sure. I understand where you're coming from, though, Nick.
No, I mean, it's fine. I'm not upset about not liking it.
Right.
It's not going to make me lose sleep.
Fair enough.
Did you watch Primal right after it as a palate cleanser?
No, I think I just went and cranked one out.
There we go. Yeah.
To Diane Lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now we're
It's Diane Lane.
To
God
Diane
bless
Lane.
Diane Lane.
Modern Diane Lane.
It's
So good.
Diane Lane in any decade. Let's be
Yeah.
fair. She's working it. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't like it for the first 20 minutes. I fell asleep last night, but it was a bad time to start. I watched it again this afternoon and ended up really enjoying it. Will I watch it again ever? No. But will I go and find scenes from it online and probably like look at it a little deeper? No.
I'm busy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I got shit themes to look at on Instagram or something.
Yeah.
I'm not studying themes from Rumblefish. Yeah, I think it's totally worth a watch. I think especially if you're into photography and that's part of like what you like about movies, like it looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
visually,
you have the longest hour and a half of your life just sitting there in front of you with nothing else to do.
If the doctor tells you the cancer is incredibly aggressive and you have 2 hours left,
Whoa, do something better.
make some macaroni and cheese. Well, you just want it to spread out. You just want to see how long can you make it
flat?
a bowl of mac and cheese that takes about 15 minutes to make,
Mm-hmm.
and then watch Rumblefish, and
And then
you got another
shove
month.
off the more
You got one more month of your life right there.
I think if I had hold on. If I had an hour and a half to live, I would probably do the most like ridiculous, like unbelievable. Like I would have sex with that bowl of mac and cheese,
Sure.
and I'd leave it on the counter.
That's like 3 minutes.
That's somebody else. Yeah.
Max, you're done. He was like,
Well, yeah, I'm already hot and bothered by the
Sure.
mixing
Look,
noises.
I think if you're gonna have an hour and a half, you gotta leave post nut clarity for like the last 45 seconds. Like that has to be an epiphany moment. Like you have to like save that for the very last minute, and then you do the thing, and you're like, oh, I get it now, and then you're out.
What if I have sex with the mac and cheese?
Okay.
I watch the last 45 seconds. Just the last 45 seconds.
Sure.
Like, straight to it.
Yeah.
Fucking garbage memes on Instagram the rest of the day.
then we'll say you lived a great life.
That's a life well lived.
Yeah,
It is.
going out strong.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. You can find us on social media. I don't know, probably. We haven't done much on that lately. But you can support us if you want. And if not, I don't care.
Yeah, buy my next box of mac and cheese, please.
Yeah, Nick needs mac and cheese.
I'm running out. I stopped smoking and now I just can't get laid.
But yeah, thank you to our Sparkle Buddies, Josh, Josie, Rico, Matt, Adam, Bill, and Stuart, and to our cage dancers, Ira, John, Freeman, Nathan, and Cameron. Thank you guys for listening and supporting Rusty James.
I love you all very much.
Rusty James.
Rusty J. Rusty J. James. Rusty J.
That's dumb.
Bye bye.
There we go.
I
Just
nailed
break
it.
up for a second.
That was harmony. Yeah,
Cruel harmony, but harmony nonetheless.
that's what my karaoke was like last night.
Cruel harmony.
For everyone else.